The winter meetings just started, and already we've got the most expensive contract in North American sports history. Plus, Roki Sasaki was posted. We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about Juan Soto signing with the Mets, why that matters to the Texas Rangers, how it's going to impact what they're doing, Roki Sasaki being posted, the Rangers already signing a couple of minor league deals, and a little bit of an update on the Rangers TV situation. Before I get into all of that, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, the big news of the weekend, the big news of the offseason finally dropped. That domino dropping last night at around 9:10 p.m. Central Time on Sunday. Juan Soto signs a 15-year deal with the New York Mets worth a baseline of $765 million, could escalate to $805 million if the Mets want to void that opt-out after the first 5 seasons. So it could go up to $805 million American for one baseball player who only hits, not Shohei Ohtani, who hits and pitches, but nope, it is Juan Soto. This is the biggest contract in North American sports history. This is more guaranteed money than Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and Jacob deGrom combined. Even without the escalators in the contract. That's only $685 million for Semien and Seager and deGrom. Semien and Seager, $500 million middle infield. Then you add $185 million for the ace Jacob deGrom, and it's still not even close to what the New York Mets paid Juan Soto. Now, I don't think I have to tell you that the Rangers were not going to be in on this. They were not going to match $51 million average annual value. They were not going to match a $75 million signing bonus. This only got to this exorbitant range because it was the Mets versus the Yankees, the haves versus the just recently also started to haves. This is because Steve Cohen is one of the richest people on earth. And you know what? I am very, very glad that Steve Cohen didn't buy the Mets until after they had already lost Jacob deGrom. Because had Steve Cohen been the owner of the New York Mets, when Jacob deGrom hit free agency, he would not have signed with the Rangers, because there's no way Steve Cohen was going to let the homegrown ace with multiple Cy Youngs not be a part of the next era of the Mets being great. So that's how it really impacts the Rangers. That I'm very, very glad that the Rangers were not in on that bidding war. But the ramifications, the fallout from that, it will definitely impact what the Rangers are doing. There have already been a little bit of linkage of the Rangers and Max Fried. Now, the next big dominoes to fall are going to be Corbin Burnes and Max Fried signing, because the next big domino, the second most important free agent on this market, Roki Sasaki, the Japanese right-handed 23-year-old ace, has been officially posted by the Chiba Lotte Marines. What does that mean? Well, it means not all that much. It just means that we know the definitive timetable for when Roki must agree to a deal. Teams will have 45 days once a player from Japan has been posted to negotiate a deal. So that means January 23rd is that date where whoever signs Roki will have to have a deal agreed to before then. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that really he's not going to be agreeing to a deal until after January 15th. We might know who the team is specifically before then, but he's not going to agree to a deal until after January 15th. Now, Why is that? Well, the international signing pool money starts over for 2025 on January 15th. So everybody gets their bonus pool reset. So gets a little bit more money. It's still not going to make a huge difference, but teams are going to have around $6 to, I believe, $7.5 million is the most that any team has in international bonus pool money for 2025. The Rangers are at around $6.5 million, but it's not really going to come down to the dollars with Roki. If he cared mostly about the dollars, he would have waited 2 more years until he was 25 and could sign as a regular old free agent, just like Yoshinobu Yamamoto did, signing a 300 and I believe 26, maybe $330 million deal with the Dodgers. But it's going to come down to who can convince him to sign there. The Dodgers have a lot of people on their roster, a lot of pitchers, some of whom will be healthy, some of whom will be hurt. But there's, I believe, 8 on their roster right now that are starting pitchers that are at least, serviceable quality, if not very, very good, if not multiple times Cy Young winners, like the one that they just signed a couple weeks ago, the left-handed pitcher. Of course, Blake Stout I'm talking about. But I think the Rangers are going to be amongst the favorites in there. They have been mentioned by multiple different national writers as one of the favorites to sign Roki Sasaki. The presumptive favorite is the Dodgers. But again, I think with all of those starting pitchers that they have, with Roki being who would probably be the 3rd most famous Japanese starting pitcher on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and maybe the 6th or 7th man in a rotation if everybody was fully healthy and at their peak, I think it'll be easier for the Rangers to convince him to sign there, as it would for the San Diego Padres, who have his mentor, Yu Darvish, on their roster. The Rangers just signed Yu Darvish's personal catcher, and Kyle Higashioka, who also speaks Japanese. Maybe that could be a feather in their cap for convincing him to sign with the Texas Rangers. But all of these things are going to have fallout moves. All of these teams that didn't get Juan Soto, the Yankees being at the forefront, the Red Sox also being one of those teams that didn't. Well, I guess 29 teams didn't get Juan Soto, but there were only so many teams that got meetings, got official offers, all of that good stuff. The Yankees are going to be very, very desperate because this makes them look like the poor team. The Yankees, the poor team. I mean, I was making jokes for the last couple of years of, why can't the Yankees just go and outspend everybody like they did in the early 2000s? And they really tried to do that. They tried to do that. They had Juan Soto on their team. They had Juan Soto a year to convince them, hey, this is the best place for you. Surely the Yankees, the rich behemoths of the sport, the team that just bought every single free agent in the 2000s, the early 2000s. If you were a good free agent, you were going to the Yankees. But that's just how it was going to work. And it doesn't work like that anymore. They're not even the richest team in their own city. Oof, how embarrassing must that be? Pretty embarrassing. But I think the ramification from this is that a lot of people are going to get really, really paid. I mean, really paid, because there are a lot of fan bases absolutely panicking, absolutely fuming that their team didn't get Juan Soto. The Mets aren't that. The Mets are going to have to do some other things, because you can't just have one Juan Soto and win all the baseball games. The Nats tried that in 2020, and that didn't quite work out so well for them. But still, I think that this is going to have a lot of splashdown effects from everybody else. I'm surprised that so many guys actually signed before Soto, because there are going to be a lot of panic teams spending probably too much money, probably vastly inflated offers on guys because they didn't get Juan Soto, because they got to convince their fan base, hey, we're trying, we're doing things. Please don't give up on this. I know we didn't get Juan Soto, but it'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. And for the Rangers, I think it will be fine. But some of these splashdown effects will affect the Rangers, especially with the guy who I think is their top priority of just regular free agents in Nathan Eovaldi. We're talking about how that impacts him, a deal that the Rangers did sign already, signing some pitchers, and a little update on the TV revenue right after this word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off site-wide during their cyber sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and then score an extra $30 off with promo code MLB. With 5 generations of experience, Omaha Steaks consistently delivers the world's best steak experience, and their gifting experts have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off side-wide during their cyber sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code MLB and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's a 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code MLB. Minimum purchases apply. Now, the Rangers did make a deal this weekend, a couple of different deals, including one with Adrian Hauser, the right-handed former starting pitcher for the Brewers. Spent a lot of time with the Brewers this year, also spent some time with the Mets, spent actually the vast majority of his major league career with the Milwaukee Brewers, making his debut in 2015. In 2023, that was when he spent all of that time with the Milwaukee Brewers, then was traded before this past season to the New York Mets. Had just a really rough year with the Mets, 23 games, 7 of those were starts, 69 and a third not so nice innings, a 5.84 ERA. For his career, he's been fine. This is not a flashy move. This is not a splashy move. This is not anything that's particularly super exciting, but it's solid. It's not spectacular. It's solid. Hauser has been a guy who doesn't have, premium velocity, doesn't have a whole lot of strikeouts. He's a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, so eat up a bunch of innings. He's some depth. He's some assurance. And for his career, a 4.21 ERA, 152 games, 104 of those were starts. A 4.21 ERA. It's solid. It's fine. He's going to be 32. He's not going to be one of the Rangers' 5 best pitchers. He is some depth assurance, a buy low guy who's coming off of a bad season. Granted, he's doing that with the Mets, which is a team that really, over the last couple of years, especially this past year, has done a good job of getting the most out of guys, of pitchers specifically. The Brewers, another very smart pitching organization. They got quite a few starts out of this guy in his career with them. I mean, his best season was in 2021. He made 26 starts, 142 in a third innings, a 3.22 ERA. That was the best that he's got. And that's fine. Mostly he's around a 4-ish ERA, which is a fine back half starter. Number 5, 6 starters. Not going to wow you. He's not going to overpower guys. He's not going to throw a bunch of perfect games or anything like that. But he's some fine depth, and that's something that the Rangers didn't really have in the upper minors. Having a guy who I'd say right now stacks up as the Rangers, number 7, 8 starter? I'd say he's around where Jack Leiter would be in the pecking order, at least in my opinion. And having someone behind Leiter, so if you have 3 injuries to starting pitchers at the same time, which very much could happen, very much did happen at times last year. Having that kind of backup is important, is not exciting, but is necessary. The Rangers also signed 31-year-old right-hander Caleb Buschley, not entirely sure the pronunciation on that, to a minor league deal. That was back in November. He is a guy who has spent parts of 2 seasons in the big leagues, 3 whole games, 6 in the third innings, a 4.26 ERA in those 6 innings, spent last year with the Twins. He's a guy, again, buy low, probably going to spend most of his time in AAA. Maybe the Rangers get something out of them. Maybe the Rangers don't. He's going to be 31. He doesn't throw particularly hard. He throws around 90, 91 with his fastball. Also has a sinker, a sweeper, and a curveball that he used in 2023. Last year, also added a changeup as well. Fine. Nothing spectacular, but nothing that is, nothing. The Rangers have a lot of guys that I think are around this quality. I mean, guys like Matt Festa. Maybe Festa is a little bit better than him because he spent more time at the big leagues the last couple of years. But nothing that's really blowing the doors off. I mean, there's not been a whole lot of deals that have blown the doors off. I'm literally keeping up all of my notifications as I am recording this because I'm trying to see. This is the winter meeting, so stuff is breaking literally all the time. It's going to be the case for all of these recordings the next few days. there's stuff that's happening all the time, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything while I'm recording these episodes. But there have not been a whole lot of deals signed just yet. I was surprised to see Willie Adames sign a deal before Juan Soto at 7 years, $182 million with the San Francisco Giants. They get their superstar shortstop, and now there's one less hitter for teams to pivot to after missing out on Juan Soto. That was a big deal for him. It's a big deal for the Giants. But again, not a whole lot of things going out there. In terms of the Rangers targets, there also haven't been a whole lot of those guys that have signed just yet. I mean, one guy who I think the Rangers were at least kicking the tires on, or at least maybe taking a look at, is a guy named Michael Conforto, who signed with the Giants a couple years ago. Was fine, but he signed a 1 year, $17 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who needed a lot of depth in the corner outfield. I thought that was a lot for 1 year for Conforto. A fine guy, but not anybody that I would be. If the Rangers gave him $17 million, I would be thinking, what the heck are you doing? What is going on there? He's a guy who I like, but I don't like that much. The Rangers are going to give one hitter 30 or $17 million to be, a fine corner outfielder, but mainly hopefully mash righties. I would much rather them give that money to Jock Peterson. I don't know that I would want the Rangers to give $17 million to Randall Grichuk, who I think would be basically an ideal fit. If they did that over 2 years, $17 million over 2 years, so $8.5 million per year, I think that would be much more in the Rangers, financial interest. But also Tyler O'Neill signing a 3-year deal with $49 million with the Baltimore Orioles. That seems like a decent chunk of change for a guy who has had some concerns. He has some opt-outs in there. After the first year, he can opt out, but he's making $16.5 million. And the Orioles, as good as they've been, they needed a little bit more punch from a right-handed hitter who can mash lefties. That is definitely what Tyler O'Neill is. I thought the Rangers might have at least looked at him because they need offensive upgrades. But again, with the injury concerns with O'Neill, he's had a hard time staying healthy. He's got a lot of swing and miss in his game. That is a contract that could go south very, very quickly, but it's 3 years, so it's hard for it to go that far south. It's interesting for the Orioles. They've got enough depth in the bazillion prospects they have to kind of survive a deal like that. But still, Kyle Higashioka right now being in the top 5 most money guaranteed among free agents that have signed so far or at least hitters, was not something that I really saw coming. This Rangers team has a lot of holes, and I think Roki Sasaki is going to be their biggest priority moving forward. But if they're not signing Roki Sasaki, if they miss out on him, I think Eovaldi is definitely amongst their top targets. And the trickle-down effect of what this will impact with the Juan Soto signing, I think Max Fried and Corbin Burns are going to be the biggest beneficiaries from teams who missed out on signing Juan Soto, mainly the Yankees, and also the Boston Red Sox, whose fan base was somehow convinced that Juan Soto was going to be signing around Thanksgiving with all kinds of weird rumors going around there. But they're not. And the Boston Red Sox need a lot of pitching. The Yankees could use some pitching help as well. In terms of offense, the Yankees also need a lot of offense, and I'm surprised that they weren't bigger players on any of these other free agent hitters that have already signed. I think Conforto would have made a lot of sense for them, and I think this is just a really bad look for Hal Steinbrenner, the son of George Steinbrenner. George Steinbrenner would have never let Juan Soto go to the Mets or anywhere else. There's no way he would have been outbid. I mean, no matter how big the money got. But that's where we are. I mean, these Yankees have missed out on a lot of big free agents, a lot of left-handed hitters who have been star free agents who the Yankees barely even pursued. Corey Seager, chief amongst them. I mean, I am still shocked that Corey Seager wasn't a Yankee during that free agent period. The Rangers got him. He's their World Series MVP. He has had a phenomenal career. And also, Juan Soto, his career baseball reference for 36.4. 36.4. Corey Seager's barely ahead of that at 36.8. Seager debuted in 2015 as a 21-year-old. Soto debuted in 2018 as a 19-year-old. It's just kind of crazy putting some things in perspective about Juan Soto, who is younger than Josh Young. He's younger than the guy whose name is literally Young and just finished top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting in 2023. Soto's younger than him. That's absolutely preposterous, absolutely insane. Also, by the way, Corey Seager has fewer career home runs than Juan Soto by one. 201 home runs for Juan Soto in the regular season. And Corey Seager has a dead even 200. Coming up, we're talking about the Rangers TV deal, how that's going to impact things on this Rangers front, and some other things to look out for during this 3-day bonanza that is the winter meetings in Dallas. Right after this. The show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to bet on live games all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Right now, we're looking at MLB betting odds for the 2025 World Series winner. The New York Mets didn't jump into the favorites, but they are now the third favorite at plus 800 to win the 2025 World Series. Dodgers still favored at plus 370. The only other team ahead of the Mets is the Atlanta Braves at plus 750. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now we are barely a few hours into day one of these winter meetings. There are going to be a lot of things going on in these winter meetings, including probably at least a trade or two, probably a lot of signings, and also, unfortunately, important for the Texas Rangers in 2025, we are going to know about the MLB draft lottery. The Rangers have say 2.5% chance at the top pick. The draft lottery will take place on Tuesday afternoon. The Rangers have the 7th best odds at that 2.5% chance at the top pick in the draft. This was the same odds that the Rangers had heading into the 2023 draft lottery, where they were supposed to pick 7th had there not been a draft lottery, but that was year one of the draft lottery. The Rangers ended up moving up to the 4th pick. Didn't get the first overall pick. They might have picked Garrett Cole, or maybe they still would have picked Wyatt Langford, but they still got their guy in Wyatt Langford with that 4th overall pick. Thank you, Detroit Tigers. Appreciate you forever for all the things you have done in the last 18 months for these Texas Rangers. Now, I don't think there is a player of the quality of Wyatt Langford in the 2025 draft that will be available whenever the Rangers pick, but honestly, who knows at this point? We're still so far away from it, but also Rangers getting a little bit of news from Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News about their TV deal. This came out on Saturday. This is a quote from Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News' article. Go check that out. Go subscribe to the DMN. Support that local journalism. Quote, the Rangers, in a statement to the Dallas Morning News on Saturday, expressed optimism that their deal would soon be completed. The expectation is the Rangers deal would be more lucrative than what they would be offered in a return to Diamond, aka Bally Sports, now aka the FanDuel Sportsbook Network. But the Rangers took a discount of nearly $15 million in their deal with Diamond in 2024. A renegotiation with the company was only likely to further discount the rights. End quote. Now, what does all that mean for the Rangers? It means they might actually have some money to spend. It means they might do a little more this offseason. Heck, I'm hoping it means they will do a lot more this offseason than what they did last year in letting Jordan Montgomery walk away and go sign a deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. There still could be a way for the Rangers to bring him back in a deal. I don't know if John Gray would be the likely candidate in that trade, or if the Rangers would just straight up take on Jordan Montgomery's money. I don't see that being a thing that makes sense for the Rangers or the Diamondbacks. Again, it mainly is going to impact how the Rangers spend money on starting pitching. Now, the starting pitching market has already been pretty expensive, with teams like the A's getting in on the second most expensive pitcher at this point. Right now, Blake Snell has the most expensive free agent contract in 5 years, $182 million. And then in a close second place, we have Luis Severino, a 3-year, $67 million deal with the no longer in Oakland A's, the most they've ever spent in franchise history on a single free agent. 3 years, $67 million is a decent salary. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's, below what Nathan Eovaldi gets. I know that Severino is heading into his age 31 season, where Eovaldi is heading into, I believe, his age 35 season, if I'm remembering that correctly. Yes, I am. He is a guy who has been more consistent, more durable, just overall better than Severino. But a lot of it is just the A's trying to show other ownership groups, hey, we will spend, once we get out of Oakland, a huge middle finger to fans in Oakland that they do this deal immediately after they leave Oakland and the Coliseum. But I think in terms of how it impacts the Rangers, same with the Kikuchi deal, 3 years, $63 million, actually kind of closer to $64 million. So that that 3 year mark, I think, is going to be the delineator with Nathan Eovaldi. And if the Rangers can go up to that, I think that makes sense. I talked, I believe it was on Friday's show, about going for Fried versus Eovaldi. I talked a lot with Grant Schiller this weekend, texting about which would you rather have, 6 years of Max Fried at around $25 million a piece, or 3 years of Eovaldi at $25 million a piece. It was honestly a tough choice for me. I think I lean more towards Eovaldi, but with the ramification, with the fallout of missing out on Soto, I think teams could go as high as 7 years for Fried. I don't know how high the Corbin Burns tax is going to be, how much he's going to be making. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Burns got 7 years, and that's very, very rare for a free agent pitcher to get 7 years. There are, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 free agent pitchers that have gotten that many years on a deal, Yamamoto being one of them, but he is a different kind of a case. He is a guy who came over when he was 25 years old, so the many, many year kind of deal made sense with him. Garrett Cole got a big, long deal. He was probably one of the best pitchers to never have a Cy Young when he signed that contract heading into New York. Then he finally got his Cy Young in 2023, a well-deserved Cy Young. Probably should have had at least one before then. But still, those kinds of deals are going to be rare. It's going to push every single person on this market up. They're going to make more and more and more and more money. All these guys left in free agency, they're going to make more money because other teams are going to get desperate. There's always a landslide effect from once one thing happens, a domino effect of getting everybody else paid a little bit more. And, heading into this free agency period, heading into these winter meetings, all the rumblings said, yeah, it's going to be expensive. Everybody's going to start to get expensive. I didn't realize how much of a fallout there would be from Soto, and we still don't entirely know. I mean, Soto just signed about 12 hours ago, I think 13 and a half hours ago, as I am recording this. Maybe it'll be closer to 14 or 15 once this actually comes out. But there's going to be a lot of teams that have to show their fan base that they are super duper serious about it's fine. We can recreate Juan Soto in the aggregate. And I think that's true. I really do think that's true. I love Juan Soto, and it's too much money for one player. I am a huge advocate for the players getting all the money. Every single dollar you could extract from those billionaires, go get it because you're worth it. And somebody's getting the money that you're spending on your TV to watch the Texas Rangers or whatever your local team is. Somebody is getting that money that you generate as a fan, that all of us fans generate for the sport of buying merch, buying tickets, buying TV deals, buying MLB TV, buying whatever you buy that goes into the major league pool. And if it's not going to players, then it's going to the owners. There's still going to be a lot going to the owners. So all these players deserve all this money. Don't think of it as, oh my gosh, these players are getting paid too much. The billionaires are getting paid too much. That's what's happening there. And so $50 million a year for one player, that's a lot. Even if he is basically Ted Williams, or maybe better than Ted Williams. He's just an incredible player. If you're going to spend $50 million a year on one player, Soto is the kind of guy that you would do that for. But still, I think that this pushes other owners to be more aggressive. It will probably push the Rangers. They're not going to get into luxury tax, but it will make them be more aggressive. Once we finally have this stupid TV deal locked down, once we actually know what's happening there, I am so sick of talking about it. I am honestly so over. I've spent so much time thinking about and talking about how much the Rangers are going to get for their TV deal, how it's going to impact, how many people are going to be able to watch it. I'm sick of it. The Rangers are sick of it. They want it to be done. They want it to be over. They want to just know how much money they're going to get, how people are going to be able to watch their games. And it is an important thing for this franchise, but it is so dang boring to talk about. It's fundamental. The Rangers need to get that new TV deal done. They need to make it easy for fans to watch their games so that they can care about the 2025, 26, 27 Texas Rangers. They can start to earn back the love of the fans in this market because they did that in 2023 by winning the World Series. But they lost a lot of momentum by being bad and mediocre and kind of unfun in 2024. They need to ride that momentum back in 2025. They can do that by getting the Rangers on TV in people's homes. They can do that by signing guys like Nathan Eovaldi, by signing guys like Roki Sasaki, or whoever the heck else they're going to sign. Jock Peterson would be a great way to go ahead and do this. Maybe making a splashy trade for a pitcher or a hitter or somebody else, like I talked about in the last couple of weeks episodes. There are plenty of good stuff there. There's plenty of good stuff potentially to be done. There's going to be a lot of floodgates open now that Juan Soto has officially signed. I'm going to be on my toes for last minute recordings for whatever's going on. Got a lot of personal stuff going on at night. So hopefully most of the stuff happens during the day. If so, I can be able to jump on for some emergency podcast for the Rangers, hopefully getting their own equivalent of a Juan Soto signing. Maybe not $765 million. But still, I think this team is finally going to spend again like they did the last 2 winters before this offseason. I'm excited to see what the heck they're going to do. The winter meetings are only just starting, and we are finally figuring out what the heck this team and all the teams are going to look like in 2025, where hopefully the Rangers can use some of that Bruce Bochy odd year magic and get their second World Series championship. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.